I now recognize Ms. Miller from West Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you all for being here today. It's of the utmost importance that we stop the OECD's forced march to socialism. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to our expert witnesses here today on how the Biden administration has failed the American people and attempted to abdicate key congressional responsibilities to unelected global bureaucrats who do not have our best interest in their heart in the slightest. If the administration fails to stand up for our workers and taxpayers, then everyone else in the world will be much more happy at eating our lunch while we're standing there with nothing. Ms. Hertzfield, have experts warned the UTPRs may violate the terms of bilateral tax treaties?
Yes, they have.
Could you describe just how foreign governments could tax U.S.-based companies under UTPR?
So the UTPR is a complicated rule, but what it does is it looks at every company multinational operates, and it says to the extent that anywhere in the world a company is not paying a 15% rate, then other countries have the right to tax that income. And it includes also the parent company's income. So it means that if because of credits or other incentives, a U.S. company is not paying a 15% rate in the U.S., other countries have the right to tax that income. And so taxing another jurisdiction's income is a treaty violation.
Can you elaborate on what actions countries are taking that might be considered as undermining the global tax deal? In your opinion, will this deal ever go into effect in countries like China, who are willing to always break the rules?
Yeah, so I think one of your colleagues brought up before some actions other countries are taking that are not consistent with the global deal. I don't think any country specifically has said we want to undermine it, but they're certainly taking actions that are not fully consistent with it.
Thank you. Mr. Michel, the OECD arrangement doesn't stop countries from competing to attract business, investment, and jobs. It just makes the current U.S. system less competitive. What makes this agreement, as currently written, so lopsided against the U.S. system? And what tools will countries use to compete if it is implemented?
As we've been discussing, I think the agreement shifts competition from tax rates, which ultimately reduce economic inefficiencies, and as we were talking about before, less costs get passed on to workers and consumers and investors, and instead shifts competition to a war over subsidies. There's already been reporting of countries saying they're going to compensate their largest businesses by passing on direct subsidies to compensate for the higher tax rates. And this just opens up a whole world of cronyism, of this sort of corruption that comes along with attaching specific payments to specific companies and the lobbying that goes on behind it.
So wouldn't you consider that all these subsidies and incentives is a type of global socialism?
It certainly incentivizes more government involvement in business decisions than simply lowering tax rates does.
So why would the United States negotiate our right to be a capitalist country? It just doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either.
Okay, Ms. Gordon, there are likely numerous technical issues with the OECD model rules and guidance that have not received as much attention as the bigger concerns with the deal, which my Republican colleagues and I have been highlighting. Would you provide some examples that you're hearing from companies and your insight? And would you also tell me what your members' concerns are about sharing information, their information under Pillar 2?
Congresswoman, thank you for your question. I'll start with the second one. So there are a lot of concerns with sharing information and having sensitive tax information spread around the world, as might be possible if you file a return with the IIR, the UTPR, the Global Information Return. As to the problems with Pillar 2, I mean, it's almost 6 o'clock, and so I don't want to keep us here all night. That being said, I think there are numbers of technical rules on, where are you filing your return, what information exactly is required when you file it, who gets to claim the UTPR. There are so many issues,
Numerous.
and we've written hundreds of pages of
Numerous.
comment letters that people could read later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I yield back.